So let's talk about some of the vocabulary that we have associated with Spring MVC just to clear some things up, because we're going to use these terms throughout the rest of this course. We have a dispatcher servlet. The dispatcher servlet is our entry or our configuration point for the application. It also happens to be our front controller, as we talked about in our request response lifecycle. The next thing we have is our controller. Now, our controllers are simple POJOs. It's a command pattern that handles our request and determines which view to route to and what model we should get, and handles that information and hands it back and forth. The next thing we have is a request mapping. The request mapping is our URL and the request type that our method is tied to. So if we accept posts, or we accept gets or puts or deletes, those types of HTML protocols requests, then the request mapping can say, I only accept gets, or I only accept posts. We also have a view resolver. The view resolver is what we're going to use to locate our JSP pages, or whatever view technology you may be using. For this course, we're going to be using JSP pages. We configure a view resolver, and that's how Spring MVC knows when we ask for the hello page where to actually find the hello page at. Then we have our servlet config. The servlet config is just a configuration file per dispatcher servlet. So this is where Spring knows to configure things and wire our application up. Don't worry, we're going to go into a lot more detail about what the servlet config is. And then two other terms. A POJO, if you haven't heard it before, it's just a plain old Java object. Generally has a no arguments constructor and private member variables exposed through getters and setters. And then a bean, which a bean really isn't just unique to Spring, but when I'm talking about a Spring bean, it's a Spring configured POJO. So it's a POJO that we've instantiated through Spring, actually in our servlet config, and it's wired up to be used inside of our framework.